Imagine you're standing in the middle of a lobby, marble floors, glass walls, fluorescent lights humming overhead like they're interrogating you. You're soaking wet. Cold water is running down your face, soaking through your shirt, pooling at your feet. The lunch you spent 3 hours making this morning is scattered across the floor like garbage. And around you, 20, maybe 30 people are standing completely still, phones raised, recording every second of it. You didn't do anything wrong. You have a confirmed appointment. You have documentation. You have every single thing you were supposed to have. And not one person in that lobby is coming to help you. Now here's the real question. Not, what would you do, but something harder than that. You have a phone in your pocket. One call. 30 seconds. The person on the other end would walk through those elevator doors and end this immediately. The woman who just poured water on you would backpedal so fast she'd fall over. You would be vindicated, publicly, on camera, for everyone to see. But making that call would cost you something. Something you've been protecting for 7 years. Something that, once gone, you can never get back. Do you make the call? That's the question at the center of this story. And the answer, and what happens because of it, is something I think about every single time I feel the pressure to use a shortcut that compromises who I am. Let's go back to the beginning. Maya Reynolds is up at 6:15 on a Tuesday morning, laptop open at the kitchen table, coffee already going cold. She's reviewing vendor contracts for a nonprofit literacy program, work she genuinely loves, work that pays $38,000 a year and comes with no health insurance. The apartment is small but clean. Sunlight comes through the blinds in thin lines. Her. Phone buzzes. A text from her college roommate. "Hey, when are we doing lunch? It's been forever." Maya types back, "Swamped. Maybe next month." That's not entirely true. She's available. But lunch means questions. It means explaining why she still takes the bus, why she hasn't moved up, why her husband's name never comes up when she talks about her work. People get confused when they find out the CEO's wife commutes by public transit and carries her own groceries. The math doesn't add up for them. 7 years ago, Maya made a choice. She was going to live her own life, build her own career, and not use her husband's name to skip lines, open doors, or win arguments. It wasn't about ego. It wasn't about making a statement. It was about something quieter than that, knowing who she was when nobody was watching. Her husband, Ethan, runs a tech company, one of those glass tower operations downtown with billion-dollar valuations and venture capital flowing like water. Maya goes there maybe twice a year for holiday parties and donor galas. She wears a dress, smiles in the photos, and leaves early. Mostly she stays in her lane, does her work, and keeps the two worlds separate. The rule started on their second date. Ethan had offered to introduce her to a foundation director who could fund her nonprofit. She said no, not because she didn't need the money. She desperately did, but because she needed to know she could build something that wasn't attached to his name. "I want to earn it," she told him, "not inherit it." He'd looked at her for a long moment, then nodded. Over the years, that decision hardened into identity. She never name-dropped at networking events, never asked him to make calls on her behalf. When people asked what her husband did, she kept it vague. He works in tech. Her friends thought she was being modest. Her mother thought she was being foolish. But Maya understood something they didn't. The moment she started using his name, she'd stop being Maya Reynolds. She'd become the CEO's wife, a label that would quietly erase everything she'd actually worked for. It wasn't pride. It was survival. Late one night, lying awake after Ethan had fallen asleep, she'd stared at the ceiling and thought, power is easy. Dignity is hard. Anyone can win by pulling strings. But can you win when the system doesn't know who you're connected to? She never said it out loud. It sounded preachy, self-righteous. But in the dark, with no one listening, it was the question that kept her honest. There were costs, of course. She'd been passed over for grants she was qualified for, dismissed in meetings where her ideas were solid, overlooked by people who wouldn't have ignored her if they'd known. But every time she thought about calling Ethan, just once, just to make things easier, she stopped herself. Because once you open that door, it never closes. Once people know you have access to power, they stop seeing you. They see the proximity, the convenience, the shortcut. And Maya refused to become a shortcut. She made herself one promise. She'd only bring him in if the situation was life or death, if every other door had already closed, if staying silent meant losing something truly irreplaceable. She had no idea that in 2 weeks, she'd be standing in his lobby, soaking wet, facing exactly that choice. Friday, 2:47 in the afternoon. Maya stares at her laptop screen. The partnership pitch is due Monday at 9 a.m., 62 hours away. Without this funding, the literacy program shuts down in 3 months. 18 staff members lose their jobs. 400 kids lose access to after-school tutoring. The board has been clear. No funding, no program. Her slides are half-finished. The data visualization isn't landing. The executive summary reads like a grant application instead of a call to action. She needs a consultant, someone who knows how to pitch corporate foundations, someone who can take what she has and make it sing. She knows exactly one person who could connect her to that expertise in the next 48 hours. Her husband. One call. One text. He'd have someone on it by tonight. The deck would be polished by Sunday. She'd walk into Monday's meeting ready, but asking him now, before she'd exhausted every other option, would break the one rule that defined her. It would tell the board, her colleagues, and herself that her principles only hold when things are easy. Worse, it sets a precedent. If she uses his access for this, where does it stop? The next grant, the next hire, the next impossible deadline. She closes the laptop, opens her contacts, and starts texting everyone she knows in the nonprofit world. Former colleagues, board members from other organizations, a friend of a friend who works in philanthropy. By 4 p.m., she has 3 responses. 2 are out of town. 1 offers thoughts and prayers. Her calendar buzzes. Anniversary dinner reminder. And below it, a note she'd written to herself. 3:30 building visit. She'd planned to surprise Ethan at his office, bring him lunch, spend 20 minutes together in the middle of his brutal schedule. Something personal, something small. She looks at the lunch container she packed that morning, his favorite meal, made from scratch. Then she looks at the unfinished pitch deck. Then she makes a decision. She'll go. Not to ask for help, just to see him, to remember why any of this matters in the first place. She takes the bus downtown. The container sits warm on her lap. Her phone buzzes with an unknown number. Is this Maya Reynolds? She deletes it. Another buzz. Same number. Need to discuss Northbridge matter. Urgent. Her stomach tightens. Northbridge is Ethan's company. She types back, "Who is this?" 3 dots appear, then vanish. Nothing. She screenshots it and gets off at her stop. Northbridge Technologies rises 43 floors above the street. Maya has been inside maybe 6 times in 7 years, always as a guest, always for something. Formal. Today she's just a woman bringing lunch to her husband. She walks through the revolving doors into the lobby. Polished marble floors, digital screens, scrolling stock tickers, employees moving in clean, efficient lines toward the elevators. She approaches the reception desk. "Hi, I'm here to see Ethan Reynolds. I'm his wife. Just dropping off lunch." The receptionist, maybe 24 years old, nods and starts to check the visitor log. Then a voice cuts across the lobby. "Excuse me?" A woman in a sharp gray suit strides toward the desk. Late 40s, severe bun. an ID badge that reads Linda Cross, Head of Human Resources. Her eyes move across Maya, the off-the-rack blouse, the canvas tote, the complete absence of designer anything, in one quick, decisive sweep. "Is there a problem?" she asks the receptionist. "No, ma'am, she's just, I'll handle this." Linda turns to Maya. Her smile is the professional kind, polished, bloodless. "The CEO doesn't accept unscheduled visits. I'm his wife." "Of course you are," said just loudly enough for the nearby employees to hear. "Ma'am, we get this quite often. People claiming personal connections to executives. I'm sure you understand we have protocols." Maya keeps her voice steady. "I'm not claiming anything. I am his wife. Check the system. I'm listed under family access." Linda doesn't look at the computer. "Our system shows no appointment, and our CEO has made it very clear he doesn't appreciate disruptions during work hours." The lie is delivered, so confidently it almost sounds like policy. Maya could end this in 5 seconds. One call. Ethan would come down. Linda would backpedal so fast she'd trip over her own feet. It would be over, but Maya understands what's actually happening here. This isn't about protocol. This is about a judgment that was made the moment Linda laid eyes on her. She looked at Maya. No Chanel bag, no executive presence, no visible markers of wealth, and decided someone who looks like this couldn't possibly be married to a man worth over $1 billion. If Maya calls Ethan right now, she proves Linda right. She proves that without him, she has no standing, no credibility, no voice that matters on its own. The lunch container feels heavier in her hands. She thinks about the 400 kids waiting on that funding, the pitch deck sitting, unfinished on her laptop, the 60 hours she has left to save a program she built with her own hands. If she causes a scene and it gets back to the board, they'll ask why the CEO's wife is fighting with his own HR department. They'll question her judgment, her ability to lead. Calling Ethan fixes this moment, but it destroys everything else. "I have a 3:30 appointment," Maya says quietly. "It's in the system. Please check again." Linda's smile goes cold. "I control HR access. There's no appointment." She signals to security. 2 guards in Navy uniforms approach, radios on their belts. Maya's hand moves to her pocket. She can feel the phone, warm, right there. 3 taps, and this ends. Around her, employees slow their pace. Phones angle toward the scene. The lobby fills with that particular kind of silence that happens when people want to watch but don't want to be caught watching. "This woman doesn't have authorization," Linda tells security. "Please escort her out." Maya's fingers close around her phone. "Just call him." 10 seconds. His assistant picks up. Ethan comes down immediately. Linda realizes her mistake publicly, humiliatingly. Maya is vindicated. But then what? Every person recording this moment posts it online. CEO's wife gets special treatment. Powerful man rescues woman from minor inconvenience. The story writes itself. And worse, much worse, Maya would know. She'd know that when it mattered, she couldn't stand on her own, that her principles lasted exactly as long as they were convenient. That the moment someone questioned her, she ran to the nearest person with power. Her chest tightens. If I call him now, I lose myself. But if she doesn't call, what happens? Security removes her. The story still goes viral, but as woman falsely claims to be CEO's wife. Her credibility shattered. The board sees it. Non-profit donors distance themselves. The partnership pitch dies before she walks in the door. The security. Guards stop in front of her. "Ma'am, you need to come with us." Maya looks at Linda, then at the receptionist who's staring at his screen, refusing to meet her eyes. Then at the crowd, 20, maybe 30 people now, phones up, waiting. Her voice is quiet. Steady. "I'm not leaving. Check the system. There's a 3:30 personal appointment under Maya Reynolds." Linda doesn't blink. "Security, remove her." One guard reaches for her arm, and Maya makes a decision that will cost her everything and save the only thing that actually matters. She doesn't call. In the next 4 seconds, Maya does 3 things. First, she shifts her weight so the security camera above the reception desk has a clean, unobstructed view of her face and Linda's. Second, she takes out her phone. Not to call Ethan, but to open her email. She pulls up the calendar invitation Ethan's assistant sent 3 days ago. Subject line, personal appointment 3:30 p.m., Friday. Time stamped, verified, right there. Third, she photographs the receptionist's screen, the visitor log, before he can minimize it. "I'd like to speak to your supervisor," she says, looking directly at Linda. Linda laughs. "I am the supervisor. I'm head of human resources. Then I'd like to file a formal complaint." The crowd shifts. Phones angle closer. Linda's smile tightens. "You can file whatever you want after you leave." Maya doesn't move. She knows what she's doing now. This isn't about proving she's Ethan's wife anymore. It's about building a record, a trail, evidence that can't be quietly erased later. She looks at the receptionist. "Can you confirm there's a 3:30 appointment in the system under Maya Reynolds?" He hesitates, glances at Linda. I'd have to check." "Then check." Linda steps between them. "That's enough. Security." Maya raises her voice. Not loud, not aggressive, just clear enough to carry across the lobby. "I am Maya Reynolds. I have a confirmed appointment at 3:30. I'm asking for basic courtesy and protocol. If that's too much to expect, I'd like to know why." A woman in the back of the crowd whispers to her colleague, "Wait, is she actually—" Linda's jaw tightens. She can feel the narrative slipping. And that's when she does something that crosses a line no policy can justify. She grabs the water bottle from the reception desk, steps forward, and pours it over Maya's head. The water is cold. It soaks through Maya's hair and runs down her face, in streams. Her white blouse goes see-through. The lunch container slips from her grip and crashes to the marble floor. The lid pops off. Food scatters across the polished stone. 3 seconds of absolute silence. Then the gasps start. "Oh my God. Did she just— Are you getting this?" Maya stands completely still. Water drips from her chin. Her carefully packed anniversary lunch, 7 hours of prep work, is splattered across the floor like it belongs in a dumpster. She doesn't wipe her face. She doesn't cry. She doesn't move. She just looks at Linda. Linda sets the empty bottle on the reception desk. Her voice is steady, loud, performative. "This company does not tolerate imposters. We have protocols for a reason. 15 phones are recording now. Maybe more." An employee near the elevator covers her mouth. Another pulls out his phone to text someone, probably just to share the drama. Entertainment. Content. Maya's hands are shaking, not from fear, from the effort of staying still, of not screaming, of not running. Every instinct is telling her to leave, to salvage whatever dignity she has left, but something deeper, something that has been building inside her for 7 years of choosing the hard path over the easy one, tells her to stay. If she leaves now, Linda wins. The story becomes woman pretends to be CEO's wife, gets escorted out. The video goes viral with that framing. Maya becomes a cautionary tale, a punchline, and the partnership pitch dies. Not because the board pulled it, but because no one trusts the woman running a non-profit who just became a national embarrassment. So Maya doesn't move. She looks directly into the nearest camera, and she waits. Linda turns to the crowd, voice rising. "Let this be a lesson. We've had 3 incidents this month alone, people trying to access executive floors by claiming personal relationships. It's manipulative, it's a security risk, and it stops here." She points at Maya. This woman walked in with a fabricated story and manufactured evidence. When confronted, She refused to leave. She disrupted operations. She wasted company resources. Maya's jaw tightens. She stays silent. She knows that every second she doesn't respond, Linda gets more confident, gets louder, digs deeper into a hole she doesn't realize she's digging. Linda leans in, voice dropping to something meant just for Maya. You should have left when I gave you the chance. Now everyone knows what you are. Maya meets her eyes, and for the first time since this started, she speaks. Clearly. Loud enough for every recording device in the lobby to catch it. You're right about one thing, everyone will know. Linda smirks. That you're a fraud? No. Maya's voice is ice. That you never checked the system, that you judged me the second you saw me, that you decided I didn't look like someone who could be married to power. Linda's expression flickers. That's ridiculous. This has nothing to do with, then check the calendar. Silence. Linda doesn't move, because she already knows what she'll find. And now, so does everyone watching. Instead of checking, Linda turns to security and drops the words that change everything. I want this woman's information logged as a security threat. Contact legal. We may need a restraining order. The lobby goes cold. Not just removal, not just humiliation, legal action. Background checks, professional destruction. The kind of thing that follows you everywhere, through every grant application, every board review, every funding conversation for the rest of your career. Maya's phone buzzes in her pocket. She doesn't look at it. One of the security guards shifts uncomfortably. Ma'am, maybe we should just verify. I gave you an order. Linda snaps. He nods. Reaches for his radio. The receptionist, the young man who started all of this, stares at his screen. He looks pale. His hand hovers over the mouse. He doesn't click anything. And that's the thing about moments like this. The system doesn't need everyone to be cruel. It just needs everyone to be quiet. Linda holds the authority. Security follows orders. The receptionist stays silent. Nobody wants to be the person who questions the head of HR. That's how injustice becomes policy. Not through malice, through silence. A woman near the back of the crowd whispers to her colleague. Should we say something? Her colleague shakes his head. Not our business. Across the lobby, a senior engineer named Jennifer stands near the elevator. She's worked here for 6 years. She knows exactly who Maya is. She saw them together at the holiday party last December, heard Ethan call her by name, watched them leave together. She could confirm everything in 10 seconds, but her performance review is in 3 weeks. She's up for promotion. She pockets her phone and walks toward the elevator without looking back. A product manager near the reception desk thinks he recognizes Maya from a donor gala 2 years ago. But he's not sure enough to risk his reputation on it. Better to stay quiet. An intern named Priya, only 6 weeks into her job, watches the whole thing with wide eyes. She doesn't know who Maya is, but she knows what she's seeing. A woman being publicly humiliated for not looking the part. She thinks about speaking up. She makes $18 an hour. She films it instead, posts it to her private Instagram with the caption, "This is wild." She tells herself she's documenting injustice. Really, she's just turning someone else's pain into content. One by one, the witnesses make their choice. They stay silent, and Maya stands alone in the center of it all, soaking wet, more isolated than she's ever been. Security, Linda says, checking her watch. If she's not gone in 60 seconds, call the police. The clock starts. 58 seconds. Maya can hear her own heartbeat. Her vision tunnels. Her hand is in her pocket, fingers wrapped around her phone. The security guard reaches for his radio. 45 seconds. This is it, the final moment. Every other door has closed. If she leaves, she's escorted out, maybe arrested. The story goes viral as woman impersonates CEO's wife, refuses to leave. Monday morning, when she's supposed to deliver the pitch that keeps 400 kids in school, she'll be a meme. The board will pull her from the presentation. Donors will vanish. The program shuts down. If she stays, same outcome, plus criminal charges, all because she refused to make one phone call. 30 seconds. Her hand moves in her pocket. She could call him right now. He'd answer. He'd come down. This would be over in 60 seconds. And maybe that's survival. Maybe that's the smart choice, the reasonable choice. But she knows that if she calls him now, after everything, she'll never be able to look at herself the same way again. She'll know that when it actually mattered, she broke, that her principles were only real when they didn't cost her anything. 20 seconds. The guard raises his radio. Linda's expression is triumphant. The crowd holds its breath, and then... Soft chime cuts through the silence. The executive elevator opens. Ethan Reynolds steps out, jacket over one arm, phone in hand. He's looking at his screen, probably reviewing messages before his 3:30 appointment. He glances up and freezes. His wife is standing in the middle of his lobby, soaking wet, surrounded by security guards and recording phones and a woman he recognizes as his head of HR. 10 seconds left. But the entire room just changed. Ethan's face, drains of color. He doesn't speak. He doesn't move. He just takes in the scene. Maya's wet hair, her ruined blouse, the food scattered across the floor, the crowd with their phones raised. Then his eyes shift to Linda. The lobby goes absolutely silent. Linda's confidence cracks. Just for a second. But it's enough. "Mr. Reynolds," she says quickly, recovering. "I was handling a security situation. This woman attempted to..." "That's my wife." 4 words. Quiet. Absolute. The whispers erupt. Linda's mouth opens, closes, opens again. I didn't realize..." "You didn't check." Ethan walks toward Maya. He doesn't acknowledge anyone else. Doesn't look at the cameras. He takes his jacket off and drapes it over her shoulders. "Are you okay?" Low voice. Controlled. But underneath it, Maya can hear the fury he's keeping leashed. She nods. Doesn't trust herself to speak yet. Ethan turns to Linda. His expression doesn't change. But something in his posture shifts, from husband to CEO, in a single breath. "Explain." Linda straightens, scrambling. "She didn't have proper identification. No verified appointment. I followed protocol for unscheduled visitors claiming executive access. She had an appointment. There was nothing in the system. I made it myself." 3 days ago, 3:30 p.m., personal. Linda's face goes pale. I didn't see it in the... "Because you didn't look." The receptionist, silent this entire time, finally speaks, voice shaking. "It's here, ma'am. I can see it. It's been in the system since Tuesday." Every phone in the lobby angles. Toward Linda. She realizes, too late, what just happened. She didn't just make a mistake. She made an assumption. Then she defended that assumption with humiliation, threats, and legal action, without checking a single fact. Ethan's jaw tightens. "You processed our family benefits package. You approved Maya's building access twice. You've met her at 4 company events. I meet hundreds of people, so you chose not to remember her. The lobby is so quiet, you can hear the ventilation." System. Ethan looks at Maya. There's a question in his eyes. "Why didn't you call me?" But he doesn't ask it. Not here. Not in front of the cameras and the crowd. Instead, he looks at the phones, at the witnesses. At the moment, that's about to define his company. And he draws a breath to speak. But Maya gets there first. "Don't." The word cuts through the lobby like a blade. Everyone turns to her. Ethan stops. Maya is still soaking wet. Still. Shaking slightly. Water is still dripping from her hair onto his jacket. But when she speaks, her voice is steady. "Don't fix this for me." Ethan looks confused. "Maya..." "I didn't call you. I chose not to. Because the moment you step in and make this right, everyone here learns the wrong lesson. She turns to face the crowd. Every phone, every witness who stayed quiet, every person who looked the other way. They'll think I won because I'm married to power. They'll think this ended because the CEO showed up and saved me. Her voice breaks slightly, but she doesn't stop. They won't learn that what happened here was wrong. They'll just learn to be more careful about who they humiliate. Linda seizes the opening. Mr. Reynolds, I apologize for the confusion, but your wife was being... I stood here and asked you to check a calendar. Maya's voice is ice now. That's not disruptive. That's basic human respect. You refused because you'd already decided I didn't belong. You never once questioned that decision. She turns back to Ethan. If you fire her right now, in front of everyone, what changes? She loses her job. I'm vindicated. And tomorrow, someone else in her position does the exact same thing to someone who doesn't have a CEO to call. Ethan's expression is unreadable. So what do you want? I want an investigation. A real one. I want to know how many other people she's done this to. I want to know what the pattern looks like. And I want the results made public. She looks at Linda one last time. Direct. Unflinching. This wasn't a mistake. This was a choice. You looked at me and decided I didn't belong. I need to know if I'm the first person you did that to, or the 100th. Linda's face is white. Maya pulls the jacket tighter around her shoulders. She's trembling, from cold, from adrenaline, from the weight of what she just demanded in front of 200 witnesses. And if you do that, she tells Ethan quietly, I need you to do it as the CEO. Not as my husband. She picks up her bag, steps around the spilled food, walks toward the exit alone, still soaking wet, still humiliated, but not broken, not even close. She sits in her car in the parking garage, engine off, hands on the steering wheel, Ethan's, jacket still around her shoulders. Her phone has 17 missed calls, 12 texts. She doesn't open any of them. She just stares at the concrete wall and lets herself feel it. All of it. The humiliation, the anger, the exhaustion of holding herself together in front of cameras and strangers and the man she loves. She thinks about the pitch. 56 hours left. The deck still unfinished. The data visualization still broken. And now she's the woman from the viral video. A knock on the window. Ethan slides into the passenger seat. For a long moment, neither of them speaks. You could have called me, he says finally. I know. Why didn't you? Maya looks at him. Really looks at him. The man she's loved for 7 years. The man whose name could have opened every door she's ever stood in front of. Because if I'd called you, I would have won today and lost myself. He exhales, runs a hand through his hair. Maya. You were standing there soaking wet while my head of HR threatened you with a restraining order. That's not the time to prove a point. It wasn't about proving a point. It was about knowing who I am when no one is watching. He's quiet for a moment. I called an independent investigator, third party, full access to HR records, hiring logs, complaint files. Results will be public in 2 weeks. Maya nods. It's not enough, but it's a start. Thank you. Don't thank me. You're the one who demanded it. I'm just the one who has to make sure it happens. He reaches over and takes her hand. But next time someone pours water on you, please call me before it gets to that point. Maya almost laughs. Almost. Instead, she squeezes his hand. Let's go home. The video goes viral in 4 hours. By midnight, it has 2.3 million views. Morning, it's everywhere. News networks, tech blogs, social media threads with hundreds of thousands of comments. The headline shifts depending on the outlet, but the story is the same. Tech executive's wife humiliated in company lobby. What happened next will change how you think about power. Maya wakes up to 847 notifications. She ignores all of them, gets dressed, makes coffee. And at 8 a.m., Monday morning, 64 hours after the incident, she walks into the boardroom and delivers the best pitch of her career. 40 minutes later, she secures full funding for the next 3 years. As she's packing, up the board chair, a woman in her 60s named Dr. Ellen Marsh stops her. That took guts. Maya looks up. The pitch? Showing up, Maya nods. She doesn't know what else to say. Dr. Marsh hands her a business card. When this blows over, and it will blow over, you call me. We need people like you on non-profit boards, people who don't fold. Maya pockets the card and walks out. And standing in the hallway outside the boardroom for the first time in 3 days, she lets herself breathe. That same morning, Ethan stands in Northbridge's main conference room, facing 200 employees on a company-wide live stream. His voice is calm, measured, but there's no warmth in it. On Friday, something happened in our lobby that should never happen anywhere. My wife, Maya Reynolds, was publicly humiliated by a senior member of our leadership team. Not because she broke protocol, because someone decided she didn't look like she belonged. He clicks to the next slide. In the 72 hours since, an independent investigator has reviewed our HR practices. What they found is not a one-time mistake. It is a pattern. The room goes still. Over the past 2 years, Linda Cross had systematically rejected 347 qualified candidates. The stated reasons were carefully coded. Not a culture fit, lacks leadership presence, doesn't align with company values. But when you looked at the data, actually looked at it, the picture was unmistakable. 73% of rejected candidates were people of color. 64% were women over 40. 41% had disclosed disabilities in their applications. Meanwhile, hiring rates for white men under 35 increased by 38%. Linda Cross didn't just humiliate my wife, Ethan says. She built a system designed to keep people out, and we enabled it by not asking questions. He pauses, looks directly into the camera. Linda Cross has been terminated, effective immediately. No severance, no bonus. We are cooperating with civil rights attorneys, filing a class action lawsuit on behalf of rejected candidates. He closes the laptop, but firing one person doesn't fix a broken system. Here's what's changing. All hiring moves to blind resume screening, effective today. Third-party auditors will review every rejection. Any manager found using coded language to exclude candidates will be removed. No warnings, no second chances. He looks out at the room. What happened to Maya wasn't an isolated incident. It was a symptom, and symptoms don't disappear when you ignore them. They spread. In the same parking garage where Maya sat shaking 3 days ago, Linda Cross empties, her desk into a cardboard box. No security escort. No farewell email, just a box, a legal notice, and a career in ruins. Her phone buzzes. Her attorney. We need to talk. The lawsuit names you personally. She sits in her car and scrolls through the comments on the video, the way she looked at Maya. Pure contempt. This is what systemic bias looks like in real time. Linda closes her phone, stares at the steering wheel. She wants to believe she made an honest mistake. That she was just doing her job, that Maya should have identified herself more clearly. But in the quiet of that empty car, she knows the truth. She looked at Maya, at her off-the-rack clothes, her canvas bag, her quiet demeanor, and made a decision in the first 3 seconds. And she never once questioned it. 2 weeks later, Maya gets an email from Jennifer, the senior engineer who saw everything and said nothing. Subject line, I'm sorry. The email is 3 sentences. I knew who you were. I should have said something. I didn't because I was scared. I'm ashamed of that. Maya reads it twice, then replies, thank you for this. It matters, because it does. Not because it changes what happened, but because it means someone learned something. And maybe next time, if there is a next time, they'll speak up before the water gets poured. 6 months later, Maya walks back into the Northbridge lobby. Same marble floors, same glass walls, same reception desk. But everything is different. She's here as a consultant. Ethan asked her to help rebuild the company's hiring practices. Not because she's his wife, but because she knows firsthand what it feels like to be judged before you even open your mouth. The new head of HR, Claudia Torres, meets her with a firm handshake and genuine warmth. They spend 3 hours reviewing blind screening protocols, interviewing diverse candidate panels, training managers to identify their own blind spots. It's slow work, uncomfortable work, the kind that doesn't make headlines, but it's the only work that actually changes anything. As Maya is leaving, a young woman stops her near the elevator. "Ms. Reynolds?" Maya turns. The woman is in her early 20s wearing a new hire badge, software engineer. "I just wanted to say thank you. I applied here twice before and got rejected both times with no explanation. After the investigation, they re-reviewed my application. I started last month." Maya smiles. "Congratulations. You earned it." "I know," the woman says, "but I wouldn't have gotten the chance if you hadn't stood there that day." She walks away before Maya can respond. Maya stands alone in the lobby for a moment. The exact spot where she stood soaking wet 6 months ago, choosing between principle and convenience. She thinks about that day, the cold water, the cameras, the choice she made not to call Ethan. It wasn't heroic. It was painful. It was humiliating. And for a long time afterward, she honestly wasn't sure it had been worth it. But standing here now, knowing that one act of refusal exposed an entire system, and that the system actually changed because of it, she understands something. She couldn't have known in the moment. Dignity isn't about winning right now. It's about refusing to disappear. And sometimes the quietest act of resistance creates the loudest echo. The video is still out there. It's become a case study in business. Ethics courses, a training tool for HR departments, a reminder that power, left unchecked, becomes cruelty, and that cruelty, left undocumented, becomes policy. Linda Cross settled the lawsuit out of court. She's no longer in HR Northbridge compensated 198 candidates who were unfairly rejected. 12 of them now work at the company, and Maya, she's still running her nonprofit, still takes the bus, still lives on her own terms, but when she walks into a room now, something is different. People see her, not because of who she's married to, but because she refused to be erased. Here's the question I want to leave you with. Not the easy version of it, but the real one. When a system tells you that you don't belong, not because of what you've done, but because of how you look, where you came from, what you're wearing, what name you don't have on your badge, how long are you willing to stand there and hold your ground? Maya stood for 20 minutes, soaking wet, alone, with every reasonable option pointing toward the exit. It changed everything. How long would you stand? If this story hit you somewhere real today, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Someone in the middle of a situation where doing the right thing is costing them something they can't afford to lose. Sometimes what people need most is just to know that someone else stood there too and came out the other side. Drop a comment below. What would you have done at the 30-second mark? Would you have made the call? There's no wrong answer. I genuinely want to know where you land on this. Like the video if this meant something to you, and subscribe if you want more stories like it. I'll see you in the next one.